It's a scene of total chaos and destruction in Washington, D.C. The U.S. capital city has been completely flooded. Deadly flash floods have swept away entire homes and cars. And now, many neighborhoods are completely cut off and trapped. But what caused this disaster? How did D.C. get completely flooded? And how are authorities trying to rescue everyone who's been trapped? You're about to see incredible images that you won't see anywhere else. This is Washington, D.C. flooded. On July, a severe thunderstorm rolled over Washington, D.C., dumping more than 3 inches of rain in just a few hours. But the downpour transformed streets into raging rivers, trapping thousands of people in their homes. Many vehicles were swept away like toys, and the entire city was left reeling from the sudden disaster. So how did this happen? Well, the storm dumped more than 3 times the usual amount of rainfall for July in just a few hours, and the city's drainage system simply couldn't handle it. In fact, the National Weather Service said that some areas received more than 7 inches of water in less than 24 hours. Unfortunately, most of that fell in just a few hours, causing everything to flood very quickly. As you can see, this image shows the normal level of the stream, but after the torrential rains, everything changed dramatically. Here we can see firefighters wading through chest-deep water as they try to rescue stranded people from their cars. These images show just how powerful these floods really were. And here we can see an even more dramatic image of firefighters helping someone out of a car. The person being rescued had to abandon their vehicle when it became surrounded by floodwaters. Now this image shows a helicopter doing a search and rescue mission. But because of the intense flooding, landing a helicopter was impossible. The helicopter had to hover above the water until help arrived. Here we can see another incredible image of a car being carried away by the current. And this image shows just how strong the current was. The car is literally being lifted off the road and carried away. And here we can see one unlucky driver whose car was swept away by the floodwaters. They tried to drive through the rising water but were eventually overwhelmed and had to abandon their vehicle. And here we can see another vehicle getting stuck in the rising water. But this time it was a little luckier. The occupants were able to escape before it was too late. Here we can see another dramatic image of a man being rescued from his home. He had climbed onto the roof to escape the rising water when emergency crews arrived and pulled him to safety. This image shows the aftermath of the disaster. As you can see, the street has been coated in a thick layer of mud. Many homes have been completely gutted and cars destroyed. The floodwaters receded, leaving behind a scene of total devastation. But the flooding didn't stop at the border of D.C. In fact, Maryland and Virginia were also hit hard by the flash floods. In fact, one child was tragically swept into a drainage pipe and was later found several miles away. This little girl was playing near a creek when the water suddenly rose and swept her away. She was eventually found safe and sound, but this was a close call that could have ended in tragedy. These images show the aftermath of the flooding in Prince George's County, Maryland. Here we can see firefighters helping someone out of their flooded home. In fact, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan declared a state of emergency in multiple cities along the I-95 corridor from Philadelphia to New York. These images show the aftermath of the flooding in Woodbridge, Virginia. As you can see, the water has receded, but the damage is extensive. Many homes have been destroyed and countless people have been displaced. These images show the aftermath of the flooding in West Virginia. As you can see, the water has receded, but the damage is extensive. Many roads are impassable and countless people have been displaced. In fact, West Virginia saw more than 4 inches of rain fall in a 24-hour period, causing widespread flooding. Some areas saw up to 8 inches of rain, which is more than the average rainfall for the entire month of July. These images show the aftermath of the flooding in Pennsylvania. As you can see, the water has receded, but the damage is extensive. Many roads are impassable and countless people have been displaced. In fact, Pennsylvania saw more than 6 inches of rain fall in some areas in a 24-hour period, causing widespread flooding. Now let's take a closer look at what happened in Washington, D.C. These images show the aftermath of the flooding in D.C. As you can see, the water has receded, but the damage is extensive. Many roads are impassable and countless people have been displaced. In fact, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser declared a state of emergency in the city due to the catastrophic flooding. The flooding was so severe that even the subway tunnels were not spared. These images show the aftermath of the flooding in the subway tunnels. As you can see, the water has receded, but the damage is extensive. Many of the subway tunnels collapsed and the tracks were completely destroyed. In fact, the flooding caused more than $100 million in damage to the subway system alone. It will likely take months to repair the damage and restore service to the affected areas. The flooding also caused extensive damage to the city's highways. These images show the aftermath of the flooding on the highways. As you can see, the water has receded, but the damage is extensive. Many of the highways are impassable and there are numerous sinkholes that have developed. In fact, the flooding caused more than $50 million in damage to the city's highways. It will likely take weeks to repair the damage and restore traffic to the affected areas. The flooding also caused extensive damage to the city's power infrastructure. These images show the aftermath of the flooding on the power lines. As you can see, the water has receded, but the damage is extensive. Many of the power lines have been knocked down and there are widespread power outages throughout the city. In fact, the flooding caused more than $20 million in damage to the city's power infrastructure. It will likely take days to repair the damage and restore power to the affected areas. But what caused this disaster in the first place? Well, according to experts, this event is a perfect example of the kind of flash floods that are becoming more common due to climate change. Rising temperatures lead to more evaporation and higher levels of water vapor in the atmosphere, which in turn leads to more intense rainfall events. And the water doesn't even have to be moving that fast to cause damage. In fact, just 2 feet of moving water can carry away a vehicle. And that's exactly what happened in many parts of Washington, D.C. The floodwaters were moving so fast that they were able to sweep cars off the road and carry them away. In fact, this is what happened to one unlucky driver who was trying to drive through the flooded streets. They had no idea that the water was rising so fast, and they were caught off guard when the current swept their car off the road. Luckily, they were able to escape before the car was carried away. But this is a close call that could have ended in tragedy. Sadly, that's not the only time this has happened. In fact, during Hurricane Harvey in 2017, a similar thing happened. A car was completely lifted off the road and carried away by floodwaters in Houston, Texas. The aftermath of the flooding in Washington, D.C. was nothing short of catastrophic. Streets were left coated in mud, homes were gutted, and cars destroyed. The entire city was left reeling from the sudden disaster, and the cleanup process is still ongoing. In fact, this is just one example of the kind of extreme weather events that are becoming more common due to climate change. With rising temperatures comes more evaporation and higher levels of water vapor in the atmosphere, leading to more intense rainfall events. So what can we do to prepare for future events like this? Well, first and foremost, we need to invest in flood resilience measures such as improved drainage systems and stronger building codes. We also need to educate ourselves about the risks of flooding in our areas and take steps to protect ourselves and our property. But most importantly, we need to address the root cause of the problem, which is climate change. If we don't take action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and slow down global warming, we can expect to see more extreme weather events like this in the future. Even the U.S. Capitol is not immune to the effects of climate change. This event was a wake-up call that even the most prepared cities can be overwhelmed by nature's fury. It's a reminder that we need to be constantly vigilant and prepared for whatever Mother Nature throws our way. But it's also a reminder of the incredible resilience of the human spirit. In the face of this disaster, the people of Washington, D.C. came together to help each other out. Neighbors helped neighbors, strangers helped strangers, and emergency crews worked tirelessly to save everyone they could. That's the true spirit of humanity, and it gives us hope that we can overcome any challenge if we work together. But it's also a reminder of the importance of being prepared. We can't always prevent disasters like this, but we can take steps to minimize the damage and help those affected recover more quickly. So let us hope that this is a wake-up call that we all heed and take the necessary steps to protect ourselves and our communities from future disasters. Thanks for watching.